How often do you get tense at work, and why? Questions like this and other questions I have, we need to ask ourselves, because the pressures are beginning to pile up on correctional officers more and more. I retired in 2018 after a 28-year career, and I felt some of the pressures, but I'm thinking that the pressures are getting worse and worse as time goes on. We also need to ask ourselves, do officers that manage the inmates well have less stress? True or false? Okay? Is finding a balance at work to make your day better getting harder and harder? Do you find that? Yes or no? Okay? Correctional supervisors need to be aware of what the correctional officers on the front line are going through. They have to be aware of what they're going through in order to be effective supervisors and help officers when they need assistance with a problem. We cannot just be a supervisor who has the rank, has the title, does the paperwork, spends most of the time in the office, which I understand the paperwork keeps you in the office a lot, but you've got to get out and see your officers because they need your help. They're having questions like the ones that I just went over. Correctional officer stress is causing a lot of turnover. For example, some studies show that we're running about 25% turnover rate in corrections. Other studies show a little bit more. That's a lot of turnover. There are officers that can come to work every day. Nothing stresses them. At least they don't show it. Maybe they don't admit it, some of them. But they're just go with the flow and they go home and they're fine. But many officers face a lot of stressors daily. Now, is it the younger officers that don't face as many stressors? Or is it the older officers that do not face as many stressors? Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's either one more or less than the other. I think there's officers in the younger group and in the older group that get stressed out every day. Hey, look, I retired for 28.8 years. I was having a couple of things going on. I was kind of burned out, but I was still going to work, doing my job as best I could and to the best of my ability. But I would get stressed out sometimes. You know, staff shortage. Sorry, what do you want me to do? Shoot you another officer? That was an answer I got from a supervisor. And here I am, you know, working alone. And many officers work alone, 100 to 1, outnumbered. Some are even outnumbered more than 100 to 1. Now that's a stressor right there in itself. Exposure to certain types of dangers, you know, inmate threats, urine and feces thrown on you. There's so many stressors in the correctional officer world these days. Then you add on short staff. Then you add on COVID. Then you add on different things. You know, your boss, the old Mimi. Sorry, I'm going to need you to do the work of 5 people today. You know, and so forth. And it sounds funny in the Mimi, but it's not. It's true. You know. Hey, I need help. I've got Med Pass coming up. I've got Count coming up. And I got Chow. They're all boom, 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 back to back. Sorry, man. I haven't got anybody for you. You know. Every now and then a supervisor, a few that I know would say, I'm coming down. I'm going to come down and run the control room for you while you go out and do your thing. And you're still alone out there, but at least you got a little help from a supervisor. But not all supervisors will do that. So the correctional officer stress. Do these stressors, here's my main question. I've asked a lot of questions that you need to think about. Do these stressors change our attitude? And how does it change our attitude? Now, with all these stressors on you, and a problem arises and an inmate starts to verbally get out of hand, how short is your fuse? Have all these stressors compiled up on you to the point where you want to grab the inmate and take them on and take their challenge? Because you know that's what the inmates like to do. They like to challenge you and get you to break first in many cases. And you can't allow that to happen. Okay? So how short is your fuse? Don't, as hard as it is to do sometimes, don't let all these stressors get you to the point where your fuse is so short that you do something that will cost you your job. Okay? I've seen it happen many times where the officer just can't take it anymore and they grab the inmate and slam them to the ground. Okay? And then we have videos now. More and more it's on videos. You know, if you're attacked, that's one thing. If the inmate comes at you, that's one thing. You defend yourself in any way you can. But don't let the stress of the correctional officer job cause you to lose your temper for a short period of time and do something you would not ordinarily do. Okay? And you in corrections know what I'm talking about. Try to keep your composure, and if you need to call your supervisor and say, I need 10 minutes, get me 10 minutes somehow. I just need to get away from the dorm. I need to walk around. Do that. And supervisors, be aware that these officers need that sometimes. They need that 10 minutes, 15 minutes just to get away, if you can do it. Let them get away for a minute and get away and relax, step outside, get some fresh air if they can. If you're in the state prison, you have that opportunity a lot. County jails don't always get the opportunity to go outside. Heck, it would take you 10 minutes to get out the door in some of the jails, but just get out and walk around, you know, and get some stress relief. It's a tough job we face, and exposure to certain stressors can result in discomfort and tension. That's why I ask, how often do you feel tense at work and why? You need to ask yourself these questions and ask yourself why, and then work on fixing it. And then I'm big on exercise being a stress reliever. I'm going to do a video here in the next couple of days, 10 reasons why exercise is the best way to relieve stress. And I'm not going to talk about counseling. If you do not need to walk alone. If you have problems, you need to talk to somebody. There's counselors and there's therapy and there's good old friends out there that can help you. And never walk alone and never keep it inside. But I'm just talking about stress relief, relieving those pressures from a rough day at work in the dorms or in the pods, and coming home and doing some type of exercise to just let it all out. We'll talk about that. But ask yourself, am I getting too tense at work? Okay. Is the stress making me make quick decisions, bad decisions, and not think things over? Okay. And try to find a balance. Find a way to balance yourself at work so you don't make a fatal mistake from being too tense, too stressed, or too worried. And there's some officers out there, at least on the outside, they look like they can walk through this like a breeze. We never know what's going on the inside of a person. Maybe they go home and they're stressed. Maybe they're not. But many officers have to have a stress relief. Find a way to get your balance and find something to do after work with family, friends, hobbies, exercise to get that stress off. So you can go back the next day and start all over again. We know how it is, right? Thank you very much for watching. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe.